Deion Sanders and Colorado appeared to miss on quite a few of their defensive transfers this offseason. Let's talk about who's hit and who's missed.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 8,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So let's do it. And that way you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage because we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So let's talk Colorado's defensive transfers. Did they pan out? Did they not? I'm going to go through every single one that they brought in and tell you whether or not it was a hit or a miss. We're going to talk about how Colorado wasn't fined this past week, and I think that's a good thing, right? I think the Big 12 is on the right side of what is a very controversial topic. And then I'm going to give you my guide to rooting for Utah or BYU if you're a Colorado fan this upcoming week, because that game could have implications. So without further ado, defensive transfer portal grades. So if you missed it earlier this week, which I apologize for the miss yesterday, had a death in the family, so I wasn't able to record. But we're back. Appreciate all the good wishes and kind messages I received. We graded every single one of the offensive transfers, A through F, on Monday. Now we're grading the defensive transfers. So I'm going to go through, name a player, kind of highlight what they have done, what they have not done, and we're going to right and what they've done wrong. Have they lived up to the buzz? Were they an underrated guy that we like, or were they someone who was highly touted that we were expecting a lot from? So let's start off with, and this is going in order of date that they committed and or signed with the program. Up first, we have the linebacker, Sean Myers, who transferred in from Northern Alabama. Now, Sean, I think, is kind of trapped in this weird situation with the linebackers where he has bright moments, but I don't think he plays all that much. So you can't really be, I guess, too much into, or I don't know, I'll say too much into him, but you can't, there isn't a lot to go off of. I'll put it that way, right? On the year, according to PFF, Sean has played in 7 games, but a total of 92 snaps. For reference, people who have played more snaps than him, Jaheim Otis, who's kind of in the doghouse, RJ Johnson, who's missed 4 games with injury, Tavion Coleman, who's missed a couple games with injury. So he doesn't have the biggest role. Overall grade of a 68. His coverage grade, or his tackling grade, is an 83.2, so he makes plays there. Coverage grade is a 66.8. So overall, I'd give him a D+, right? It's not much that he can do, right? He's doing what he can in the role that he has, right? I would like to see him have a larger role, but in the role he has, he's basically a at-time rotational linebacker that obviously the coaches don't trust enough or just don't want to play as much as a lot of us would have hoped, because they need some help at linebacker tremendously. Up next, we have Tyrekus Davis, the corner from Wyoming. Now, I thought he was going to sort of sneak into the lineup and be a guy who we all were talking about by the end of the season. Is like, oh, that was the DJ McKinney of this class. Like, that was the LeJounte Wester of this class, where it's like undersized guy who, I mean, DJ McKinney's not undersized, but underrated guy who not a lot of people were talking about, but was generating a lot of buzz in the offseason. He, I think, has fallen out of favor with the coaches. 3 games. He has only played a total of 12 snaps, and he has not done very much with those snaps, to say the least. He has an overall grade of a 49.8, a coverage grade of a 48.6. So I forgot what game it was, but they played, let me see. It was the very first game of the season against Georgia Tech. He committed a pass interference penalty, and they stopped playing him. He played 5 snaps then, 1 snap against Houston, and 6 against Wyoming, which was probably in garbage time. So Tyrekus Davis, I would probably have to go with an F, unfortunately. It's nothing personal. Actually, we'll go D- because I have a couple Fs on here to dish out, and I don't think he's one of them. But a D-, veteran guy that should be able to make plays and be someone that Colorado could rely on. And he's just not, right? So D-, it's nothing personal. Like I said, it's just based off the production that we're seeing. Noah King, transferred in from Kansas State, was one of those guys who signed with the program and then instantly left the program. He has not played a snap. So if you don't play, I don't give you, at least he hasn't played a defense snap. If you don't play, I don't give you a grade. So there's that. John Slaughter from Tennessee, safety transfer. Let's just say Colorado did not win that trade for Colton Hood with Tennessee, right? He's played in 6 games, a total of 46 snaps, and overall grade of 52.9, run defense grade of a 47.4, tackling grade of a 20.4, and then a coverage grade of a 58.4. Now, let's talk about his missed tackles. In his, I guess, what would this be? In his 46 total snaps, he has 2 missed tackles, which isn't great. And then he also, he just hasn't done much, right? He's not, I think they're pretty set at safety with Tafik Byard, and the other safety position has been occupied by Carter Stottmeyer. So I would go another D here, simply just not getting the opportunities. Next guy up, safety, Terrence Love, F. Left the team, didn't do much. And I remember being told that he was a guy that could eventually carve out a role. He played in 1 game, total of 8 snaps. So, not much to go off of. You leave the team, whether it's mutual or not, story for another day, but he leaves the team. Tion Parks. Now, Tion Parks is another guy that I was like, oh, great get. I think he's going to be a revelation at corner for Colorado, sort of fight for that third role. He is actually the lowest graded player on the team with the 44.5 and a coverage grade of a 33.6. Now, I don't want to base everything off of PFF's grades. I like to use PFF as a crutch. I should have explained this earlier. A crutch, but not a sort of a means of, I guess, transportation, if you will, right? I like to use it as a reference, but I'm not going to base all of my opinions off of it. That being said, he's allowed 9 catches for 77 yards this year. He's given up 3 touchdowns, and 2 of those came against BYU. And yeah, just tough season for him. I think he had a really good year last year at Illinois State, and he's just not where Colorado needs him to be. I do hope he sticks around so that way maybe he could get developed a little bit more, but right now he's just not what Colorado was hoping for, and they're so thin at corner that they got to keep trotting him out there. Next up on the list, Tavion Coleman. Now, Tavion Coleman has played in 5 games. I believe he's injured. If I'm not mistaken, I feel like I think he's out for the year, if I'm not mistaken. Out for a year. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Tavion Coleman has been out, at least. I don't know if he's out for the year, but he has been injured. I apologize for the brain fart there. I liked what I saw from him when he played. I do think that I was expecting other guys to sort of emerge into the role that he had when he was playing. But he's currently graded out as a 69.2, a tackling grade of a 77.2, run defense grade of 72.5. And listen, when you bring in some high profile guys and you end up having guys who played at G5 programs sort of taking the job from them, you kind of have to respect the guy's hustle, right? He has 7 total tackles, has been a good run stuffer, if you will. He has 4 stops on the year, which is pretty darn good. So Tavion Coleman, I'd go C. He's not absolutely lighting it up, but he's also not, it's not terrible, right? Not bad at all. Martavius French. Now, I was a Martavius French stan in the first couple of games of the season. Like, he was just all over the place. It seemed like the ball was constantly finding him. He was constantly making big plays. But Martavius French is struggling. He has the 3rd lowest grade on the team with a 49.6. His tackling has been all over the place. He's got a 49.3 tackling grade, a 38.4 coverage grade, and is quite simply struggling in just about every aspect. Has given up a penalty, has allowed, 9 catches for 133 yards. The penalty that he committed to was egregious. I believe it was against BYU, where he was just kind of running backwards and like basically fell on the guy, didn't do much. So I had really high hopes for Martavius French. I thought he would be one of the team's best players. I thought he'd be a stalwart for this defense. Instead, I feel like the linebacker group as a whole has been quite disappointing. So I'm going to go C minus, D plus, or in that range. Kylan Salter, he's played in 2 games. So I don't really want to give him a grade because he's played 7 total snaps. So we'll just go C, like he's right there. Tafik Bayard, I would say he's probably, unless I'm missing someone, probably the lone A on this group. Tafik Bayard, I had him on the show, really liked talking to him. He's a guy that said he wanted to be a leader, said he would want to lead by example, and he's doing just that. Tackling grade of a 73.4. I think he's leading the team in tackles, which if you have a safety, that's not great. Right. If you have a safety leading the team in tackles, that's never great. But that being said, he's leading by example on the field. He has 47 total tackles, half a sack, a pass deflection, an interception this past week against Iowa State, which was, although there was probably pass interference on that play, he got the interception. Right. So you don't write in the stat book like interception, but like clutch interception. Big time playmaker. I like what he does for this team, and hopefully he sticks around because I'm sure some programs will be offering him some big dough to leave. Now, moving on, we have Makari Vickers. I liked Makari Vickers in the couple of snaps we saw of him against, I think it was Wyoming, and then he started playing more, or against Delaware he played well, then saw an expanded role against Houston, didn't play so well, and has sort of been struggling ever since, but did have, I guess, a bounce back game, I guess you could say, against Iowa State, 70.9 coverage grade. But when they relied on him the most, he played 75 snaps against Houston and 67 against Wyoming. He gave up 5 catches for a total of 126 yards and a touchdown. So I think Makari Vickers has a lot of potential. We haven't seen the best from him yet, so I'd probably go C minus for him. Gabriel Lightfoot, I don't think has played at all, so no grade there. He's the one that was injured. I was confusing Mr. Coleman with him. But best wishes. Hope he recuperates and recovers well. Then we have Reggie Hughes, another linebacker. Like I said, this position has been overall a disappointment. 54.6 grade overall, 39.5 in coverage. He's a guy that I think has lost this. I feel like the linebackers are constantly changing. Jeremiah Brown is now the starter, but he has 8 missed tackles on the year. And 13 catches allowed for 135 yards. Penalty wise, he has allowed, or he's accounted for. Where is this penalty count at? No penalties, but giving up a lot of yards, missing a lot of tackles. Not a key sort of, I guess, not what you want your linebackers to do. And then lastly, in which his grade D plus. Lastly, F, Jaheim Otis. I would say by far and away, Jaheim Otis is the biggest disappointment on this team this year out of anyone. Colorado brings him in from Alabama. Everybody says he has all-American potential. The problem is, and this has sort of been the story of his career, he doesn't care about football, which is at least what it seems, right? There's videos of Gilly the Kid being like, hey, coaches say you're the best player, but you don't care. This person says this, and this, and you don't care. You got a family to play for, you don't care. 6 games played, 94 snaps. He had a bright moment against Georgia Tech that I vividly remember. And I was like, okay, if this guy could put it together, like, look out. And he doesn't seem to be able to put it together, right? The coaches are leaning on other people rather than him. And it's just one of those things where it's like, hey, we can't trust you. We can't play you. So Jaheim Otis is an F. I honestly thought he had all Big 12 potential. Now I don't even know if he's going to register a start. Like, I don't, or at least if register another one if he started already, right? He's just been a very big disappointment this season. I think those talks of like, oh, does he care about football? I wanted to believe that those weren't true. I wanted to believe it was just like, hey, new staff at Alabama didn't get the best out of him, but appears it's not the case. When we come back, we're going to talk about why I like the Big 12's decision to not fine Colorado. This episode of Locked on Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Mazda. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same attention to how we craft every model. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. This episode of Locked On Buffs is also brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by the Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. I love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks the reps for you, which you don't want to cheat yourself. You want to make sure you're getting the right count in. It suggests the right weights, because I think that's a hard part about working out, is like you feel really strong or you don't know what to do, what the right weight is. It corrects your form, which is very important, prevents injuries. At least having the right form does. Makes every rep safer and smarter. And their swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat. So let yourself run, lift, and flex and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. The Big 12 has been dishing out fines, right? Texas Tech was fined $25K. I think Kansas was fined $25K. Certain teams across the league have been fined $50K before for field storming, but your Colorado Buffaloes were not. And why is that, you say, right? Well, first of all, I understand why conferences around, like I know the ACC, I think the SEC does it as well. Automatic $50K. I think it's $50K for the first offense, $100K for the next. Fine, right? They're like, you know what? We don't want it. It's not safe. People get hurt. There's incidents. I mean, there was even an incident. It was quite disgusting, actually. Colorado fan going after Chase Soul, former Buff himself, actually, on Iowa State. Dude's trying to rip his helmet out of his hands, which is embarrassing, disgusting. We don't need that, which is why I think a lot of people push for, one of the many reasons that people push for this to be banned. But outside of that, and the goalpost falling on another kid, which was, I mean, I thought it was kind of funny, but obviously, hopefully the kid's okay. I say kid, he's a college kid. He's fine. But a lot of times they fine teams, programs for fans storming the field. And apparently the Big 12, according to the Big 12, was like, you know what? You did it right. You did the proper measures, whether that's not running onto the field before the game's over, whether it's blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Right. We'll take it though. And I like this move because the Big 12, unlike the SEC and the Big 10, has to be creative, right? The Big 12 has to be creative with its marketing. It has to be creative with its partnerships. It has to be creative with its conference championship game, which is like, has that partnership with the WWE, and they have like the wrestlers. I don't know any of their names, but I know that they're big in the wrestling industry. They have them there, right? You need to be creative when you're not viewed as the premier flagship brand of college football. But I know a lot of people are frowned upon when you storm the field. And I think allowing field storming is fun. It's a part of the game. I do think there's dangerous aspects to it. I wish there was ways to like neutralize those dangers. Like maybe, hey, just line up and we'll let all of you run on the field 5 at a time or whatever. But like, it's a part of the game. It does have its dangerous aspects. I get that. But I enjoy and appreciate the Big 12 for not taking the fun out of what was Colorado's first ranked win since the TCU game to open the Deion Sanders tenure, right? Like that was 2023. That was 2 years ago now, right? I appreciate that the Big 12 is willing to let teams and players and fans have fun and celebrate the big moments. And it's clear that they have like a guideline on like how to do it. Obviously, Deion Sanders was like, hey, you know what? 50,000 fans here. Everybody donates $1. We're fine, right? But the fines, they go to, I think it's a scholarship fund for grad student athletes. And it's not the worst thing in the world, but I do appreciate that the Big 12 is like, you know what? They did it through the proper measures. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. So we're not going to fine them. I like that. Right. I think in college football, there's so much stuff changing that doesn't represent college football anymore, that it's fun to see the little things stay around. I appreciate it, at least. You guys comment below. Are you pro or against field storming? Now, I like it when things don't go wrong, which I mean, you could say that about pretty much everything in life. Like I don't love the Colorado fan trying to take someone's helmet. I don't love people getting injured, jumping onto the field. I don't love that, but I do love a perfectly clean field storm when everyone's just having fun, running amok, maybe talking a little trash, not an excessive amount where they're like getting in the face of a player, but just like a little, like a drive by, like, hey, we beat you. LOL kind of thing. Not like I think it was the Florida State game where I think it was a Virginia fan like ran by him and flipped Thomas Castellanos off and didn't like that. But like just a little drive-by message of like, hey, how you doing? We beat you. But I don't mind it. You guys let me know what you think. When we come back, I'm going to talk about who you should be cheering for, BYU or Utah in this week's Holy War. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Wayfair. Now, I'm a big proponent of Wayfair. They're my favorite when it comes to getting all things furniture. The holidays are going to be here before you know, which is exciting, but getting your home ready for guests and celebrations can feel like a lot. Maybe your serveware needs a refresh, or the guest room could use a new bedding. Wayfair has everything you need to get your home holiday ready, from Christmas trees and wreaths to bedding, cookware, and outdoor inflatables. It's your one-stop shop for every room in the house. Wayfair makes it easy to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection for every style and budget, with free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff. You could get everything you need without the hassle of huge delivery fees. I personally love Wayfair because it literally furnished my house. This desk that I'm using right now, Wayfair. My couch is in my living room that we just got this house, Wayfair, right? Wayfair comes up clutch. And with the holidays approaching, right, you're adulting now. Money gets a little tighter. It's like, okay, I'm going to go to Wayfair, right? They're helping me out. We want to host. And so Wayfair is going to help me out this holiday season, and it can help you out. So get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day. Make me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow. That way you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. And I want to thank you for making me your first listen of the day. Let's talk Holy War, right? It's a little bit out of our comfort zone to talk about programs that we don't cover here. But Colorado's on a bye. Colorado plays Utah next week. And Utah is playing its biggest rival of the season this week in the game of the week. It's going to be Big Noon, I believe, right? If I'm not mistaken. I think it's on Big Noon. Number 23, Utah at number 15, BYU. Last year's game, super, super controversial ending. I don't remember exactly why, but I remember Utah's AD was throwing chairs, walking off. It was a whole thing. And this year, there's another element to the rivalry, right? Utah's best defensive tackle, Keanu Vasu, he left. He left Utah to go to BYU. And there's this whole thing of like, oh, it wasn't for money, but everyone was like, yes, it was. And you know how it is, right? And the transfer portal, like nobody really thinks that someone's leaving for money when it's like when you land a transfer, it's just like, no, he wanted to play for a winning program. He wanted to play for the right Tanavasu is his last name, by the way. You want to play for the good coach, the right program, the right fit. But as soon as someone leaves your program, you're like, that guy only cares about the money. And that's exactly what that situation came down to. But I think it's going to be a great game. ESPN's FPI is extremely split on it. BYU has a 50.9% chance of winning, so Utah 49.1%. That's probably because it's a home game up in Provo for Utah. BYU sits top. They're tied for first in the Big 12. They're one of two undefeated teams in the Big 12 conference. Utah is tied for second at 2-1, which they're tied with 4 teams, or three other teams. And they're 5-1 on the year. They lost their lone game of the season. Their lone loss of the season came at the hands of Texas Tech. They're riding high because they beat the brakes off a shorthanded Arizona State team. BYU has just simply been handling business. Now, I think Colorado should have beat them. That's neither here nor there, but they beat a frisky Arizona team in double overtime. So who do you root for in this game? Well, for one, you can – there's two ways to look at this, right? Excuse me. Two ways to look at this. There's the lens of you don't want the team that beat you to win because you don't root for a team that beats you, right? That being said, if you're Colorado, still have small hope, a little tiny hope that you can make a run for the Big 12 title, right? And what better way to make a run for the Big 12 title? Well, than the conference standings to get a little muddled up, right? Colorado is currently sitting in second to last place. There's 3 teams in the Big 12 who haven't won a game. Colorado's at 1-3, and then TCU and Arizona, they're both 1-2. Then it's 2-2 teams in Utah, right? A lot of stuff needs to unfold for any Colorado to have any chance, right? They have to keep winning. They need a bunch of teams to lose, but one of those teams that wouldn't hurt to lose is Utah, right? If Utah loses and then Colorado beats them, next thing you know, Utah's sitting at 2-3 in conference play, and Colorado's sitting at 3-3 in conference play. You're moving up the rankings, right? So I would say you root for BYU, right? Because it makes your loss look a little bit better for starters. And 2, it helps you in the Big 12 standings. So I think all Colorado fans should be a big BYU fan. And you kind of want Utah to get punched in the mouth again before they play you. Maybe a little Penn State effect them where it's just like they spiral out of control after losing a rivalry game, right? Penn State lost to Oregon, then they lost to a beaten UCLA team. So if I'm a Colorado fan, I'm rooting for BYU. I want to hear the case for Utah, though. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.